What's up, y'all? Want to give you a late night story time. We're gonna do another podcast real soon. I hope y'all enjoyed the last one. I had to re-upload the Super Mario review because YouTube was playing games. I don't know what they were doing. So this one is gonna be about my first contract. I talked about this on my first book, but I didn't go into some. There was some strange stuff going on in the details. Now this kind of takes place around 2008, and around this time, I was starting this contract. I had already started the contract, and I think maybe like a week or two of me being working at the company. I was working out off of down there on West River Road for a company through Robert Half. So this was my first real corporate enterprise level contract. At that time, I was making $17 an hour. The internship that I was at off of 4th Avenue, South Minneapolis, that year, I was making 10. So I went to a $7 jump just that fast. And what I ended up doing was I was interviewing a couple different times for different companies through Robert Half, and it was a lot of help desk positions they were sending me to. They sent me to this place out there in Woodbury. They had me interviewing with several different people. The vibe was kind of funny style. I think I did decent with the interview, but I wanted to work more in hardware. So they kind of detected that. They said, hey, there's a new hire coordinator position through this company called Coloplast. And the company was straight. They made like ostomy bags and things of that nature, whatever. But this was like my first introduction to Trailer Trash Bob. And I talk about him on the second book real heavy. But I noticed, with me going into the industry, I didn't really see too many brothers, and I think I might have told this story before, but the first time that I seen a brother, that was my first contract, my first corporate contract. I seen a brother that was running the show, and he was a little standoffish, like, it wasn't like no brother stuff. It was kind of like some, I play for the other team kind of thing or whatever, but I was just there to get my bread and whatnot. But this was the same story that I talked about in my first book, where there was this dude that was a voice over protocol. He was like the telecom guy. He was the only guy there. And he was a stone cold race soldier. I had other coworkers that said this dude had all kinds of swastikas and Hail Hitler stuff at his house or whatever. And the white dudes that I worked with that was training me and told me, he said, well, man, don't let nobody know that so-and-so has this at his house. But he told me yet and still. So then after that, okay. So after he told me this, what ended up happening was I kind of kept my eyes open for that guy, because he was doing things in the workplace. Like, if he got angry, he would kick doors and slam doors and do all kind of stuff. And I'm like, what's up with this dude? Like, why is he doing all of this kind of stuff? Oh, well, he's a telecom guy, and there's really nobody else that knows this stuff. So they had to kind of keep him around. He was the only person, that really knew the telecom to a high degree. And dealing with the, I think it was Nortel phones. I don't think it was Cisco at that time. But remember the internship that I had been exposed a little bit to Cisco in the Cisco administration console. So that was my first time being exposed to voice over IP, VoIP phones. So this dude, he was just doing all kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And I asked a network engineer, and he said, yeah, man, he be doing stuff, and they've had to the head honcho or director, the director of IT. That brother had to talk to him a couple times, whatever like that. So just knowing a little bit of background about this dude, seeing that he was a confirmed race soldier, and that wasn't confirmed just by me, that was by other white people at the job. I could tell that he really did not like reporting to a black man. But getting to the root of this story, some of this kind of reminded me of Hollywood. Like I've been hearing about, like, in order to get to like the top, you got to do some real Rudy Poo stuff, man, to compromise your manhood if you really want to get up to the top. But what I thought was strange was I came into the workroom. They had like a little lunchroom where I had grabbed my food. I usually don't eat with the co-workers too much because this where I'm getting at right now. They were having a conversation, and it was the black dude that was head of IT. He engulfed in this conversation, which I think, which to me was crazy. They were talking about Hollywood people and kind of like who they were attracted to or something like that, and they said something about oh yeah, I like this person in Hollywood or whatever. Somehow Brad Pitt's name got brought up. Somehow his name got brought up, and all these guys, all these IT professionals were like cracking jokes. Well, I would sleep with this person, I would sleep with that person. And one of them was like, yeah, I'd sleep with that Brad Pitt. These grown men now. These grown ass men with wives and kids. But it was like a joke. But I would never play like that. Well, yeah, I'd sleep with Brad Pitt or whatever. And then the brother, he stayed, oh, and I said, oh. And I'm uncomfortable at this point. Like I don't even, and you know, I'm a young guy. All these guys were older than me, but they sitting around the table, talking about, well, yeah. And then they start mentioning other dudes in Hollywood. Oh yeah, I'd F him or I would. I ain't never heard nothing like this. It was like a butt break ritual almost. And they made it like seem like it's a straight joke. And I was just kind of sitting there just listening to this stuff. And I'm just like, this is in the break room. Now, there wasn't no women that was present. You know, the secretary or whatever, like she's in the front or whatever. And she might have been there. I don't know. But that kind of told me everything I need to know about that group. I mean, it was, now the guy that was telling me that the telecom race soldier that had all them Hitler posters and stuff like that, I don't know if he partook in the conversation or whatever, but you know, like I heard him say some little slick stuff sometimes too about like one time he tried to tell me, oh, a white dude created the moonwalk. I'm like, I said, man, if you don't get up out of here with that. I mean, he was serious too. And then I guess we had to stop to get some gas one time, cause I was driving. He stayed out in Stillwater, and I didn't really know too much about Stillwater then, but I just knew this wasn't a place I was gonna go. And so we gotta stop it. We talking about stopping to get some gas at the gas station, because sometimes what I would do, I go out to Vadnais Heights, and my main headquarters would be in West River Road, but sometimes I would go downtown and replace desktops a lot. And a lot of the people was very, very happy about me going to Vadnais Heights, because Vadnais Heights was like one of those little satellite stations where it was like a production site, a production warehouse, where mainly dealing with installing printers. I like hanging out there, but people out in Vadnais Heights, and I dealt with like installing like time clocks and stuff like that, and doing the support for that, but that was really handled by a third party. But they liked to see me coming because they felt like they were below them. Like downtown Minneapolis and West River Road would always get priority over them. So I'd go out there, and every time I go out there, they'd be happy to see me, you know. But yeah, dude made a comment. He said something about like, oh, well, you know, because it was like one of the murder stations. I think the one off of it wasn't on Broadway. It was the Honey Bee or whatever. And he said, oh, the Ghetto Bee. And And I'm like, this dude, man. And see, he's like one of them real. He was like one of them low-key moderate race soldiers. Like, well, yeah, you know, so-and-so got a swastika at his house. Don't tell nobody. So he's bucking his eyes, telling me not to tell nobody about it. Or, you know, I ain't say nothing to nobody, of course. I mean, who am I going to talk to? I'm a contractor. I'm not going to really talk to nobody there. But I guess I kept that in my mental Rolodex. This was like my little gladiator school for IT, just understanding how these folks get down. But I thought that was very, very interesting, that dynamic. We had like I think we went to like a park or somewhere. They were barbecuing and all that, and it was supposed to be one of these little team building things. And I was kind of going off to myself. I wasn't interested in doing that, no way. But you know, the head honcho Negro, he wanted me all involved and all that. So I'm talking to the telecom race soldier. I'm like, you know, we get talking, and he took off his shirt. He got all kinds of weird Odinism, Viking tattoo, just weird stuff, and it kind of double confirmed what he was on. So I'm talking, and he's looking, and the way he's kind of looking at me is just kind of funny. So I'm talking to him, and he's like, oh, well, yeah, you know, so, and he got this big truck, and it's real high. Cress Welsing talked about this stuff a lot, like, oh, well, you know, I gotta have this big truck, and I gotta be very imposing, and you know what I'm saying? He had like one of them big redneck trucks. So I asked him, I said, man, you know, you got any kids or a woman or whatever? You know, we was just talking. And he was like, oh, no, man. And I'm just like, man, this nigga here. I'm like, man, you a telecom engineer making all this money with this big truck with your little Hail Hitler, with your little Hail Hitler posters and all that kind of stuff. And you ain't got no women. You ain't got no kids. You ain't got, I was just bewildered. And that was Trailer Trash Bob, y'all buy my second book and you read that glossary at the end. That was Trailer Trash Bob. And my contract was ended. He was like, oh man, you know, don't feel bad. It's happened to me before. And he was putting the little crocodile, fake little right-wing crocodile tears and all that, you know. And I knew the contract was ended, so I wasn't tripping. So he just wanted to kind of buddy up. But I remember when he was training me, and when I told you I found out I had my diabetes. That whole week, you know, my eyes were crossing and I was feeling heavy and thirsty, and I didn't know what was going on until I went downtown, and I was working with the dude that said the ghetto beat, the Stillwater white guy. I was working with him downtown. We went to like not the city center, or it was somewhere we went and had some Subway, and I kept getting thirsty, and I was telling him how I was feeling. He's like, man, you need to go check that out. So I left work and I drove down to East Lake at the old Bloomington Lake Clinic. And around that time, I think my sugar might have been 600-700 or something. They should have called me an ambulance from there. But I got thirsty again. I still wasn't thinking. That same week, when I was getting trained how to use some of the telecom phone stuff, I was kind of out of my mind. I wasn't really cognizant, you know. I kept noticing how he was looking at me. I was trying to pay as much attention as I could, but my eyes was feeling weird, and I didn't know what was going on. But when I was dealing with the telecom dude, he was training me. He was just talking to me, and he kept going like, you know, making them funny looking, you know, and he just kept looking at me funny. Like, I'm training this Negro, but I despise him, you know. So that was my Trailer Trash Bob story, you know. I'm probably gonna title this either Trailer Trash Bob or either, you know, maybe my first IT contract. And now you may not work in desktop support. It could be help desk. You know, if you're a black person and you fresh starting off in the game in IT, it could be help desk, or, you know, it could be business analyst, it could be business system analyst, any of that. But I mean, just fresh out the boat, you're probably going to want to get into some technical support or whatever. And then now with the cloud and the way that things are going and the competition and stuff like that, you may not necessarily just be at the help desk and get start there, you might get wrapped up, especially if it's a contract. If you're just starting off. Now, if you're invaluable and it's your first time, I mean, it's going to take a little while for you to get invaluable, but there's some certifications right now through SANS, SAN.org, SANS, and I think it's ISCC. There's some entry-level certification stuff that y'all can check out where they do it for the minorities and underrepresented communities, and all black folks take advantage of that as it is right now. I'm going to cover that a little bit more in the next podcast. I might do it tonight, but I'll probably end up, I don't know, I might do it tonight. I'll probably end up doing it tomorrow and post it in the next couple days. But yeah, that was my story, man. When I went to that lunchroom and they just openly having little weird conversations, and people could kind of say, well, oh, they're just playing around or whatever like that. Like, man, I'm not about to start naming celebrities or men or anybody for that matter. Their name is celebrities on who I'm gonna sleep with at work, especially men. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was just openly, like it was just like a rite of passage joke or something like that. Like, and I'm sitting there and that's how I knew I was raised right. I'm like, I'm not even gonna play with nothing like that. Oh, it's just a joke. I'm like, man, please. Man, I'm not about to be playing around like that. Yeah, I thought these folks was crazy. That's why I said, yeah, they ain't gonna hire. They not gonna. I'm not gonna be a contract to hire here. The position they say was contract to hire. They always say that, but at that time, that was my introduction, and I can't imagine how like them brothers in Hollywood be getting, what they come to tell them. Oh, just do this, put on the dress, or do this. Man, please. Yeah, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have made it 5 minutes, because they would have been like, this dude got a conscience and he's gonna stand on something. We ain't gonna be able to hire him. Flat out, we just ain't gonna be able to hire him, because they would have tried that again with me in the room, and I would have, because I left. I didn't stay. I heard him gobble down my food and said, all right, y'all, I got back to work. I said, I'd rather be working. And that's why I used to eat by my damn desk. I used to always wonder, like, man, will he be antisocial with him? No, I guess when I sat and ate with y'all, that this is the type of BS y'all be talking about. I ain't gonna take no part in it. I'm not about to sit there, and I ain't gonna sit there as if it's cool. I'm not gonna sit there and co-sign it. I'm not even gonna be in the room with y'all if I could avoid it, if y'all talking like that. I said, this little weird corporate buck breaking ceremony. I said, no, I ain't gonna do it. It's my Apple Watch. My wife got me an Apple Watch, man. And let me show you something. With the little aluminum thing. These things, I should do a little review. But the aluminum band is great. Now it allows me to put in what they call, they say they call it low power mode. I could put it on low power mode. I mean, this thing is really amazing. I got to go and charge it up, but it's, man, this is probably one of the best gifts I got. I used to be an Apple hater. I was an Android head, but no, them Apple Watches is on point. All right, this is my first contract, Trailer Trash Bob, Storytime. I got some new things on the pipeline. A couple things I want to review as well. The Zone 414 review. As y'all can see, well, you can't see it right now. I'm watching that right now, so I'm going to give my analysis on that. The Zone 414 review, that's going to be leaving Netflix within, I think, one more day. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this. It's going to have some spoilers, but I'm going to upload this, and then I'm going to do the next podcast reviewing Zone 414, and we'll break it down from there.